Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and I think it's finally time that I sit down and make a video talking about 6v6 in Overwatch 2. Now, why do I bring it up all of a sudden? I mean, we've been playing 6v6 for nearly 2 years now. Well, it's because this is the current state of Overwatch.
I'm gonna kill myself!
6v6 is the current hot topic. Well, honestly, it's been the hot topic for at least the past year now because there are so many people that hate 5v5, which I actually want to hear your guys' opinion. Do you like 6v6 more, or do you like 5v5? And give a reason, because that's exactly what I'm going to do at the very end. I'm going to give my thoughts on how I feel about 6v6, because you might honestly be surprised about my opinion. But what I want to do for the beginning of the video is talking about why I think we at least need both 5v5 and 6v6 in Overwatch 2. But why am I talking about this right now? Well, it all stems from a tweet that kind of lit the Overwatch community on fire, coming from the big dog himself, Keller. Now, this tweet coming from him is a little bit old, coming out on June 28th, but it says, "My post spurred a lot of talk around 6v6. We recognize that this is an important topic for many people, including us, and we would like to jump into the conversation to share our POV. Look for more on this in the next director's take or possibly developer's update." Now, clearly this doesn't confirm nor deny the return of 6v6 in Overwatch 2, but what it does do is finally have Blizzard recognize the cries for 6v6. Oh, we are begging for this format to return in some way, shape, or form, Blizzard. And most of the time they always ignored it, but not anymore, because the head honcho revealed that, hey, it's being discussed and we're gonna announce something in the near future. But if you're not a 6v6 sexual, you might be wondering, why? Why is 6v6 talked about so heavily? Why is Keller having to talk about a future announcement about an announcement coming up? And honestly, a lot of people will tell you a lot of things as to why 5v5 just doesn't work. Tank players will say, well, it's because tank isn't a lot of fun to play or doesn't feel tanky enough. Or in supports will say, well, it's because I'm not able to out-heal the damage that DPS is pouring into the tank heroes. And then DPS will say, well, tanks don't die that often when you beef up tanks. It's really just this cause and effect cycle where if one party is happy, two others are not. Right now, I feel like DPSs are pretty happy, but tank and supports are very unhappy. We're back in like Season 8, tanks were very happy because they were super beefy, but DPS weren't because they weren't getting damage. And also support because, well, supports are never happy. And it's all because there is one, singular tank that they have to balance around, whereas in Overwatch 2, there's an even amount. There's an even amount of tanks, even amount of support. You don't really have to worry about one entity being more powerful than the other. You don't have to worry about tanks being too beefy, outliving the DPS damage, and just absorbing all this support, or vice versa. And that's just a basic bare bones reason why people hate 5v5. Again, bare bones. People miss the duo comp of tanks. People miss just playing with their friends. You know, that aspect about 6v6 versus 5v5. Again, many elements towards the hatred of this new format. But now that we answered the why, now we gotta talk about the what this tweet might signal. Because again, the fact that Keller, aka Blizzard, is finally recognizing the need to at least talk about 6v6, what would happen? Well, I think two things might come about this. One, we are finally gonna get an explanation as to why 6v6 couldn't return into Overwatch 2, and I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I know the reason why, but I can't tell you because Keller told me in confidence at an NDA meeting, and I don't think he would find it very cool and swaggy if I were just to leak it out. And look, I know that might sound like I'm lying, and you don't gotta believe me, but I don't lie that often in videos. The only thing I lie about is my peen size. But what I will tell you is that it's not a good reason that many people will believe, or at least be satisfied with hearing. But hopefully Blizzard can just at least give the reason why, because at least there will be a reason why, because a lot of people will just point to the arcade. It's like, look, other people are doing it. Other people have 6v6 made. Why can't you just add 2 additional slots in a quick play or competitive setting? But here's where the second thing comes into play, where maybe for a weekend, they can have a quick play hack to where instead of it being 5v5, it'll be 6v6 with the current state of Overwatch 2, with 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports. But even better, better idea? What if we were to take the last Overwatch 1 patch and have that be the quick play hacked? Because here's the problem with just implementing 6v6 in the current state of Overwatch 2. Tanks would dominate. I don't know if they were to have the open queue tank versions of tanks, but if they were to have 2 current role queue tanks in the game, they literally would not die. So they would either have to have the open queue or have the last Overwatch 1 patch that was in October of 2022 to be the playable version of this quick play hacked version. I don't know if that would be possible because of how much changes were done in the game. You gotta think about it. Even just from a skin perspective, that would just be a nightmare because some heroes don't have the current configuration of their old version of themselves, you know what I mean? But I don't think most people would care about that. They just want to play the last version of Overwatch 1 and go back to the golden era of Overwatch. And that, hot gamer boys and egos everywhere, is the reason why we need some form of 6v6 to return in Overwatch 2. Whether it's a quick play hacked, whether it's in the arcade, whether it's the last Overwatch 1 patch, and it's not to relive the glory days, but it's to remember just how awful 6v6 also was. And this is something that a lot of people forget about. They love to think about the past. I legit saw a TikTok post the other day saying that peak Overwatch 2 was on Horizon Lunar Colony. Brother, Horizon Lunar Colony was straight cheeks. There's a reason why 2CP was removed, but so many people want to live in the past, so give them the past. Relive the past of Overwatch 1 and 6v6. Because if you were to honestly ask me, hey, Braywhack, how do you feel about 6v6? I would honestly tell you, it was aight. It was aight. I really didn't think 6v6 is what made Overwatch 1 perfect compared to making Overwatch 2 terrible. Because do you remember the struggles of double shield? Do you remember the struggles of not having a main tank, having a Roadhog and like a diva and not having a shield? Do you remember the struggles of having another person that could possibly just throw your game? Maybe I'm just trying to look at 5v5 through a positive light, and look, there are some negatives, but when I queue up for tank, it's just me. I'm the big dog on the field. I don't have to worry about nobody else. On top of that, I feel a little bit more free when trying to pick a tank versus in Overwatch 1. I felt a lot more pressure to play main tank or a shield tank. Like, if we didn't have a shield, oh, I gotta play Sigma or Reinhardt or Winston or whatever. But in Overwatch 2, I can play my diva because they designed tanks around the idea that you don't necessarily need a shield. Yeah, there are some times where it'd be beneficial, but clearly not everyone can offer a shield. I'm not saying 5v5 is better than 6v6, far from it. I'm saying both have their problems, but to say that 6v6 didn't have their problems is wild to me. And that also goes for the other things that people just live in the past about. Point that I'm trying to make here is that Overwatch 1 had its problems, and why 6v6 needs to return is for people to finally get a taste of what the past was like and just see if it works. Because here's the thing, Blizzard has changed their formula many times ever since 2016. Remember when you can pick any hero if it was even already picked? They changed that. I remember people hated that change, but they learned to adapt over time. And then they added the role queue system. People hated that, but then they realized, oh wait, we always get a support on every single one of our teams. Oh wait, that's actually so good. And people learned to adapt. But the problem with those changes versus this change with 5v5 is that they're still making changes to the 5v5 format, to tanks, DPS, and support, adding passives, trying to balance out tanks, trying to make it so it works with the support. It's not working 2 years later. Whereas with those other changes I mentioned, it worked almost instantly. People just hated change. I just think another reason that Blizzard will never admit to is that they spent all this time, energy, and money into trying to make 5v5 work for whatever reason, whether it's to fix queue times, whether it's whatever it could be. Like, they changed the Overwatch League format, they changed all these tanks, they made Doomfist into a tank, and if it turns out that people still like CC6 more, they're gonna be like, but we did. But if Blizzard is true to their word, trying to make a good game, and if 6v6 actually does make it a good game, or vice versa, then that's what they gotta do. And Blizzard has shown that they're willing to change their ways. While they got rid of 2CP maps, they're bringing them back in the form of Clash maps. Now they're collaborating a lot more. They literally brought back Pink Mercy. If that doesn't show that Blizzard is changing their ways when it comes to their community, then I don't know what. But once again, I want you to comment down below how you feel about 6v6 and 5v5, which one you like better. For me, I just want a good game, man. If they make 5v5 work, awesome. If they make 6v6 come back and that's the better game, then awesome. Till then, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.